All right, welcome in. It's good to have you guys in. Come into the spot. Yeah. Appreciate everybody joining us. Got a few messages about where's your videos been. I had to drop I had to check something. I was getting some emails. Um, I was using this platform to record recently because I wanted to cut the cost of what I was using, which was Zoom, to get something that I could record and edit in the same thing. But the recording there is limited to 30 minutes. And the last recording that I pulled real quick had no sound. And then I looked up this recording place, this platform, and it said, can't have problems with that. And I was just like, this is not good. I can't really use it for recording. I could still use it for editing, but not recording on that platform. And that's what I will do, or maybe even look for somewhere else to edit, something to add to edit. The one I want to add to edit, you'll say, hey, I really like, people have said this when you edit it, when you're doing your car videos or when you're out and about walking. And I said, this is a phone, it's called InShot. You can't get it on computers. That doesn't make sense to me, why you couldn't get it. But anyways, it's good to have you guys here, and I'm going to get back into doing what we do here, and definitely look at things a lot different, right? We're going to get in. We're going to do a word of the day. We're just going to do a word of the day today. I'm going to do this platform on the next few. I did the 3 parts of Tesla. I'm not doing a third part. I'm just going to skip it. Watch the 1 and 2. Watch 1. Well, 1 leads you to 2. 2 blew up a lot more than 1. 1 didn't really blow up, and you need to watch 1. Maybe people, the way I worded it, because I put do's, like do. It's direct energy weapons was the do. That's why I put do. But I want to get on something that I've been looking at that hit me, and it's going to lead us into a few videos on the different parts. We're going to do the etymology on the inauguration, right, of the president. We have the inauguration, and we had the ball. Was it the ball, the dance? I'm going to get on the that. Also on the thing they did with the military thing they did, coronation type of thing they did, and show you the symbolism and what these actually mean in etymology. And it's going to be surprising and eye-opening because it goes deep into different aspects of a lot what we talk about here. And we just want to kind of really go in on it and talk about it and be about it, because this is what we do at West Coast Uncensored. We uncensored the censored. This is for them who are ready to really go that way. I had a lot of counseling with some of my people who watch and listen and are here and do a lot of stuff, right, that they awakening consciousness, young men, young women in their 30s to 40s. We have a few of them here that are hitting me back and saying their eyes have been opened, and many through the processes has enhanced their process. So I did some counseling because some of these people I interact with, we text each other. And these two, one I've known since he was a one Chad, little boy, and one Chad, little youngster, and one I met a year and a half ago, the James, which you heard me mention. The other one's Gene. But we had some talks about going through aspects of the awakening and where they're at now. And my friend James, which we talked about, had to evacuate from the fires, and then he, in his evacuation process, which he's doing fine, his house did not burn down or his neighbors. But what we found out was that it had a process that he needed to go through. But I see the process as like another awakening, another stage. He's going to come out even to a higher state. And he sees it, and I know he feels a lot better after yesterday. Some of this stuff can be really hard on us, and some of this, but anybody who comes into conscious awakening, this is not strawberry roses and easy street and soft beds and lilies and daisies and just namaste. Namaste is an aspect, but there's a dualistic. It's also, are you tough enough? Can you handle it? Because change and adaptability has got some toughness within it. You got some hardcore in you. And you have to be able to do these things. So let's talk about and look at the word inauguration. A ceremonial vestiture with the office sets of solemnly or formally introducing a setting in motion, anything of importance, dignity, from the French inauguration, installation, sounds consecration directly from the Latin inauguration, inauguration, consecration, presumably originally installment under good omens, noun of action, past stem of inauguration, omens from the flight of birds. This is very heavily because I'm going to get into some of this thing with birds too that are going to be connected on. That's going to follow up in this series too on some definitely on some ancient or European poems that I've looked at. That one of our listeners and one of totally becoming one of my top connectees and friends, Patty in the South Carolina group. Appreciate you. She's really deep and has brought some stuff to mine, and we talk and we text back and forth, and there's some deep stuff she shares with me brought out, and then I jump into it and I'm like, wow, this is really some good deep stuff that assists us in our growth, and we'll show up for you. So if you look at the word into the office, inaugurate, of course it talks about having a ceremony, and so the word ceremony is dealing with your cerebellum, right? Within your brain is actually a word connected to it. Etymology sense to make a formal beginning or induction to office with suitable ceremonies, which are rituals. Watch this. Which in ancient Rome included especially taking auguraries, and this is what I wanted to hit on. I've said many times, Rome's not gone anywhere. Rome changed its names and its looks from a government to a country, or a religion, should I say. Right? It changed that aspect of itself into a religion. And if you look at it through a religion, guess what you end up having? You end up having, through the religion, you end up having this military thing called the Roman Empire falls, similar to how a lot of countries and societies crash. I'm telling you, it's happening here, because this is Rome and the Potomac, which we talked about earlier. Go into the Washington D.C. was called Rome and the Potomac. The Senate seats, the Senate and the court is the House of Senate is on the hill, like in Rome. I'm telling you, it's the exact same model, because it manifesting in the United States, using the eagle, both did. So when you look at this, and then down a little farther, the ceremonies from Rome, the word comes from Rome, right? And then English inaugurating, and inaugurator. So inaugural, meaning to inaugural address, right? And so when you start looking at this, you're starting to see, got some related stuff I wanted to look at here, is ancient Romans and augur, which is part of the word, right? Inauguration is ancient Romans' functionary use duty to observe interpreted auspices or reputed natural signs concerning future events. A religious official in ancient Rome, perhaps originally meaning to increase crops, with a ritual which is caused to, Latin, to increase the crops, and more probably the theories from Latinivis, bird. There's your bird again, because the flight, singing, and feeding of birds were important objects of divination aspects, in case the second element would be from Guerrero to talk. So you're looking at divination connected with talk, which is ritualism. We went into this, and then you can go even farther and inaugurate, induct into a formal ceremony, and also from past principles, right? It's an induction, a formal installation of clergy. It's all connected to, this is what you have to understand, that anytime governments or societies are started, they always will connect to a religion, so the masses are held at bay to the belief system that they want to project through exoteric knowledge to believe the government, because the government is really connected to the religion. The religion is the government. The government is the religion's actually just like the CIA part of the government. Is every time a society, a huge society, does this is what they do. They create a religion to correspond with it for the illusions or delusions put on the masses, because it's all exoteric knowledge of beliefs that they make, even conquering, they give you their beliefs. And we're here totally saying we're in the age that's no more beliefs. We're looking for knowledge, knowing, not belief systems, because belief systems can be a belief that you have a lot of abilities. That's fine until you know it and experience it. But you can have a false belief system that you think is real. And then you can see it through the religions. There's been 16 saviors through societies through the history that all have the same story of being born of a virgin, being the Son of God, dying and raising 3 days, doing miracles. It's not a new. Actually, the Christian thing is the very last one to do it. And then we know here you learn that true Christianity, the Christ, is more through Gnosticism than the hijack of Rome, pushing it as an agenda, because the same story, it's Zoroaster. It's what's happened in Egypt. These same stories, it's all these are the same. Born of a virgin, the Son of God. Check. Die the third day, check. It's not a new system that, of course, the Western, it's new, no. It's hijacked and you're just the last to conquer. And when you wake up out of the mindset, then you start knowing. But you start looking at this. Inauguration has these inductions. Advancement toward the grace of God, formal installation of the clergy, so religious aspect. Commencement, to start or beginning. Start, there's your faith. Bootstrap, tap, loop at the back and the top of a man's boot, which wearer hooked a finger through to pull on his boots, strap. And notice I like the fact that it says to bootstrap, tap or loop. And we know that governments, they say nothing new's under the sun. We repeat history again. And we live in samsara, so we keep looping the shoes, loopings. The foot and shoes actually represent in esoterica your knowledge and understanding is connected to the boots. Jesus said, John the Baptist said, "This one coming after me, I'm not worthy to unloose his suits or boots, because I can't unloose the information and knowledge that he's bringing. I'm just telling you that it's coming." Right? The cardigan, if you go down here, cardigan. And I like this last one, the next one, and the next one. Mirror, polished metal coated glass used to reflect images of objects, especially in the face of a person reflecting. This is the reflecting of the reality that they create, because we're in a mirrored reality that what you put out is what you mirrored back to you. So when we're going through believing in these government officials, we're creating the windows or the mirror effect that reflects back to us. So what they take from the energy goes into the mirrors, and then we're creating their power, because they can't do it. I'm beginning more. They have not the ability, or they would not be hijacking or vampirism what happens and what you do. They wouldn't be doing that. And the reality is that's what they do. And it continually happens and happens over and over. This is a ritual. That's why there's so many ceremonies into the inauguration that it talks about. And then, so we see the mirror effect. We have we had Alice in Wonderland and Alice in the Looking Glass. The Looking Glass was Alice was seeing the mirror images of the holes, right? When you go into the story of Alice went down the rabbit hole, right? Alice found truth. Alice was to find her way out. Alice in the Looking Glass, she started seeing it's a mirrored reality that this would represent. the farther you go, the deeper the hole goes. We think it's negative. It's not. It's okay to go in the rabbit hole. When you understand the mirror effect, it's like that. You got the whole hole understood through the mirror effect. So let's go down a little bit farther. Either, or like I say, ether, upper regions of space, and directly Latin ether, upper pure bright sky, sky firmament, upper air. And we know that ether is air. Ether is one of the aspects of creation of the ether, fire, water, earth, and air. Air, ether. Could you imagine living in a place very high like Tibet, or that to live there you have to adapt to the ether change because it's not the same as it is in the lower realms, and then you have to adapt. If you can't adapt, you will go back down. You will descend again because you can't adapt. And we're looking at adaptability. So what we're looking at is through this aspect, right, of all this, we're getting into the inauguration. It covers every aspect of the birds, ether. It talks about the omens of the birds. They're looking at ether, controlling the reality and making it seem like it's heaven in hell. This is a ritual to start something new that in their eyes appears to be something that is great, but it's just starting something new that repeats itself through the looking glass, because this goes into ether, goes into mirrored reality. It's very much deeper than just, oh, we're just inaugurating him. No, it's a ceremony, which means it's a ritual of the elite, which means it's a ritual from Rome, which would be through the Vatican, the Roman Catholic Church. In a little thing I'm looking at, what happened, we had videos about this, what happened in the end of towards Christmas, right, the 25th, the winter solstice. We had the Pope opening 5 portals. Everybody goes, yeah. I know that he's a sorcerer by just the hat he wears. That's the Dagon priesthood from Samaria. Ancient Samaria is what he's wearing. When you see the fish head and turn the Joker sideways, you go, that looks like a fish's mouth, because it's the Dagon. They're coming from the Sumerian, Babylonian, come on now. And it's talking about Mother Babylon, or the great harlot Babylon falling, because that's the Roman Empire, and the religion given to you is the same thing. That's why the Pope's wearing the hat. The hat is the Dagon, Sumerian, Babylonian priesthood. These rituals are not new. They're ancient. I would even gather to say this goes back to Rome and England, but I'd gather to say this goes back to the Dagons in Samaria in inaugurations. It would not surprise me if that's what we'd find out of this. Let me stop sharing. So I did this today to, we want to do a series of the events that happened in the inauguration. We had the ball, we had the coronation, which is going to lead me into some thoughts I had after that. About 4 days ago, I was thinking, and I'm always trying to get connected, and this revelatory thing energy came to me on a thought, how there's this book from 1896, and I've shared it here, called Baron Trump, the Last American President. And it's like, this was written 130 years ago, 120, 128, 129 years ago. And it came out in 1900, but it was written in 1896. And then I started thinking, we have this young man. I kind of looked him up, watched some videos of him. Seems to do some very good things for people, but just because somebody is spiritual, I heard this from Seven. Seven blew me away today. I watched the Seven video talking about what's happening now, where we're at. People running back from supposedly spiritual conscious back to the religion. That's happening, especially after the whole stage event with Billy Carson losing a debate with a Christian. I was trying to warn you guys about BC that's why when I say BC, I knew what he was. A while ago, I knew. I just didn't come here and bash him. But I think it's all psyop, because there's no way a real spiritual person should lose to a Christian, and there's no reason for the debate, because you're dealing with if it was true, an exoteric versus esoteric. How is the exoteric going to ever understand the esoteric when he thinks esoteric's the only thing? It's something you can't do. Let's just be honest. Debates. No, it's something that does not work, in my thoughts. And he lost, and then he went rogue, and then he went Nutsville. I mean, there's a whole story to this if you don't know it. Psyops are everywhere. So somebody could say they're spiritual. What does that mean? This is going to lead me with my next video. What does that mean, they're spiritual? They're spiritual. They love the Lord. I'm thinking, what Lord? Lord Ganesha? Lord Krishna? Lord Jesus? Lords of London? Come on now. And this leads me into my next videos that will be coming, the series after we do the dance, the ball, right? That happened the night of the inauguration, the ball. We're going to go into the ball because this has a lot in it too. We're not only going to go into the ball, we're going to again go into the coronation, the military coronation after that. Then we're going to go, this is what I'm going to end with, is going to be our series after these next two. We're going to talk about Lord. I told you about Lord Ganesha, and I told you about Lord Krishna, and then I told you about one other Lord, Jesus, right? And then I said the last one I said is the Lords of London. And the word Lord, right? We'll get into that, is a blue blood title. And then it hit me, not that thought, I've known that for a while. Don't talk about it too much. We call him Baron Trump, and it hit me, Baron. It's his name, but that's a blue blood title. Baron, Baronesses, Duchess, right? Dukes and Duchess, Earls. It goes with your chess game. What are your pawns doing? What's the object of the game in totality? To protect the king with pawns. And then we see a bunch of an unseen king behind the scenes pulling the strings, but we see all the actors, actresses, athletes, musicians who are all been pawns in the game, and all your politricks, politicians who are in front of your face that you know their first and last name like you're their relatives. We're going to talk about how this is all connected to chess, to the coronation afterwards, and the ball, and the coronations, and what we just talked about here in the inauguration, and why his name's really Baron, a title, blue blood, for his first name. We'll see you very soon. Just telling you this is what's down the hole. My next video will be on the ball.